Hi everyone, it's Leanne the Barefoot Medium here, and welcome to Barefoot TV, where I am joined today by John McGrail, who is a renowned hypnotherapist, personal success coach, spiritual teacher, and leading media expert on the topic of personal improvement, as well as being an author of The Synthesis Effect. John supports people in generating lasting change, growth, and transformation in every aspect of their lives, using a mixture of techniques, traditions, and wisdom that integrates science and spirituality. Now, for those of you who are joining Barefoot TV for the first time, it's a weekly TV program to provide you with easy access to knowledge, wisdom and guidance from experts, leaders and spiritual advisors from all over the world to support you in transforming, growing and connecting with all things love, soul and spirit. So, welcome, John.
Thank you so very much, Leanne. It's a delight to be with you today.
Now, we are going to explore on today's episode an awesome topic that I just love talking about finding soulmates.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about, first, share with viewers, if you can, a little bit about your background and what you do with clients and how you've stepped into working around love.
Sure. Well, you know, I've been very fortunate in that I've had a variety of careers, all of which have been exciting and adventurous at the time, and they all contributed from flying airplanes in the military and the airlines to making a living as an actor in Los Angeles to teaching and coaching and mentoring. Really, I've had the great honor to have all these experiences, which when I decided to pursue this career about 16 years ago, everything I had ever done kind of came together. And I have been able to use all the experience I've ever had as an instructor, as a business executive, as a teacher, coach, and mentor to bring that to my practice. And that's really how it all began. I reached a crossroad in life, as so many of us do, and realized that what I really loved to do and what I thought my purpose was to help people live more powerful lives. And I had gone through my own transformation. And as I like to say, I haven't worked in 16 years. It's just been a joy. And when you find your purpose, kind of like finding your soulmate, you just know it's right. So that's sort of a very quick rendition of how I got to be here.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you talk about combining science and spirituality, because my background is psychology, criminology, and teaching in university environments. So in a similar way to you, I came from that very logical background with the criminology and facts and evidence and that logical brain of teaching and organizing, to a similar thing where it was a relationship breakdown for me in amongst a business, my working life, lots of stress, lots of anxiety, went, that's it, and a health crisis, and made a choice and a decision to throw it all in, and no idea what I was going to do, but it didn't matter because I just somehow knew that all of it would fit together and allow me to do what I'm passionate about. So I love that you've found your path and your purpose, and all of it makes sense.
Yes, our stories are not dissimilar. I too was a classically trained scientist, biological sciences and psychology. And the beauty of it is that modern Western culture, our Western science, which is all based on empiricism, I'll believe it when I see it, is now rediscovering what the tribal indigenous peoples of the world have known for millennia, and that is that whether we like it or not, we are spiritual beings. This energy called spirit has been proven to exist. And when we embrace that part of ourselves, which is the most powerful part of ourselves, then our lives can unfold beautifully. And no better example of those kinds of people than your native Aboriginals in Australia.
Yeah. And, you know, like I said to you, I'm based at the moment in Colombia, South America, and the indigenous people here have very strong beliefs about soul and how the natural world around us reflects what's going on within. So, you know, I love that aspect of the indigenous belief systems and spirituality. Talk to me a little bit about soulmates and what that is for you.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you just brought up the concept of spirit and soul. You know, in my view, a soulmate is another human being that when you meet them and get to know them, there is just this incredible connection on every level.
Mm.
Your core values match. And what I mean by core values is those attributes of life that you have to have. And we have a set of core values for our profession. We have core values for our friendships. And of course, we all have core values for our relationships, our intimate relationships, the things we need from a partner, like intimacy, honesty, sincerity, integrity, whatever it may be. Some people are more sexually open than others, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm.
So a soulmate fits your core values and in such a way that being together is as natural as not being with yourself, and not being with a part of you that's missing, but it's just two super spiritual people that come together. And when that happens, the relationship is essentially effortless. And I believe fully that there are more than one soulmate for each person. You know, there's sort of a traditional belief that there can only be one other person on the planet that can be your soulmate. And if you think about that, with 7.3 billion of us, the odds of finding that one person would be pretty slim. But I think there are many, and I do think that we often meet more than one soulmate in a given lifetime. I know I've met 2 or 3 of mine. Unfortunately, 2 of them weren't available for whatever reason, but one was, and I've been with her blissfully for 23 years.
Wow. And I love how you talk about the fact that we do have more than one, because, you know, as a psychic medium, the other part of my work, people often come to me, and one of the most common questions is, when will I find a soulmate? Where's my soulmate? And looking for that one person to fulfill the need for love in their life. And
Yeah.
you know, I like how you said there's more than one, and it's, you know, it's different people in different times, and I so agree with you on that. We can have, you know, friends that are soulmates and we have an incredible connection with, and our core values match, and we're meant to, you know, be together for a purpose and be partners, but in friendship, not in romantic ways. And I think
Absolutely.
that's what a lot of people don't quite understand about the concept of soulmates, which is why I love you talking about, you've met a few of them.
Yes, absolutely. And I have fond memories of all of them. And, you know, the other thing that's really important is that I don't believe you can find a soulmate if you're in a needy position yourself. If you're spiritually empty, if there are holes in your spirit and you feel that you need to have somebody in your life in order to feel whole and to feel validated, I don't believe that is conducive to meeting a soulmate. And I work with many, many couples, as do you, and I have for years now. And I find over and over again, and with myself, I didn't find the gal that I could spend the rest of my life with until I had fixed the holes in my spirit. And when you do that work and you're no longer feeling needy, you can want a relationship, but wanting and needing one are 2 different things. And so I always caution people, and I contribute to many, many magazine articles on this subject. And the authors are always, you know, wondering about that. If you hear somebody saying, well, he or she is the half of me that's been missing, that's dangerous. That's not going to work. Because if half of you is missing and that person happens to leave for whatever reason, now you're still missing a half. You've got to be complete and whole yourself. And then 2 people can come together and they're not filling the gaps. They already have their gaps full. That's when you find your soulmates.
Exactly. And you know, I love how you talk about the filling the holes, because you know, a lot of people want that quick fix of,
Yes.
okay, I've just come out, and I'm thinking about clients who've come out of relationships and then step straight into another one, and it's repeating that same pattern over and over again, and it's patterns of behavior, patterns of thinking, and patterns of emotion that sit in that neediness, that frustration, or wanting a partner or a soulmate or a relationship out of fulfilling a need because they're feeling lonely.
Yes.
And that's, you know, I had a client this morning that was in that needy position. So it's kind of interesting we're going there. And, you know, it was, I need it because I don't want to be alone. Well,
Right.
you come into the world alone and you leave the world alone. So if you're going to focus on something or someone that's external of you, that thing or that person can always be removed from you. So how are you going to feel whole?
Precisely. And it is that one of the things that I work with when I work with single individuals who are having relationship issues. Either they have that pattern of unhealthy, toxic relationships over and over again, and they can't understand why. And of course, what has to happen, and it doesn't have to be a difficult process, is that you've got to step back into your power. That's how I describe it. So that you are really comfortable with being with yourself. Being with yourself and feeling comfortable is not being lonely. And when you get comfortable being with yourself, then you can make someone an exceptional partner.
Exactly. And I like how you talk about it's not being alone, it's about fulfilling that space within you and standing in your power and your strength. Because, you know, coming back to your conversation about your core values, if you are looking externally of yourself and not loving you or knowing who you are, then how do you know what you value most, in whether it's, we're talking love, but it's about who you are as a person, as a whole being,
Yes.
and what you value and what's most important to you. And if you're accepting less than that, then take a step back and really, you know, look at what are those values? What do you value most? And then make decisions and choices based on your values and how that feels for you.
Precisely. And that's so different than accepting less than or settling because you don't want to be alone. You know, God forbid that I'm alone and I'm not in a relationship. And, you know, those insecurities are learned.
Yeah.
One of the things I truly believe, and I'm sure you do too, is that we are all born completely, fully, and absolutely unconditionally in love, not just with ourselves, but anybody who wants to give it to us. And then through the aegis of well-meaning, but, you know, often misinformed people, our parents, our siblings, and then our classmates and friends, and then society, we learn to devalue ourselves. We learn our insecurities. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not sexy enough. I'm not smart enough, or whatever it is. And we take these limiting beliefs about ourselves into relationships, and we think the other person is going to fix all that. And it doesn't work that way ever. And I am testament to it, because I was one of those people. I was a very unhappy camper at one point in my life. And it was only after I did the work that you and I just have been talking about that, again, I was able to meet my soulmate that I have been with, as I said, for many years now. And it's as beautiful today as it was the day we met. And it's been virtually an effortless relationship.
Yeah. And I think that's the key, is knowing, you know, if you're repeating a cycle and a pattern of limiting beliefs, or going into relationships from a fear-based space of not having, or, you know, I'll be alone, or whatever it might be that's playing out, then, you know, you're probably going to repeat that pattern in the next relationship if you don't step back, take that time for you to really look at what is it that you're attracting, if it's the same thing.
Yes.
And is it what you want? And if it's not, how do you take the steps to change that? And, you know, this kind of comes back to a little bit of my story. I was in a relationship in Australia with what I refer to as a karmic soulmate, which was someone who was teaching me about some of those patterns and limiting beliefs or fears that I had, which I'm so grateful for. I'm so blessed that, you know, his soul agreed to help my soul shift and transform and change that. But I played with that pattern for on and off for 8 years.
Sure.
And
Yes.
I had to go, hang on a minute, where's my responsibility here? Where am I making a choice? I'm choosing this pattern. I'm choosing to stay in this cycle. And I had to make a decision and empower myself to step out of it and take that space just for me, to learn
Yes.
about what do I value, who am I, you know, and do that work like you talked about. What are my limiting beliefs? What are my patterns? Why do I do that? Okay, where did they come from? They're not bad. It's just what you've done to keep yourself safe and what you know.
Exactly, what you know and what feels safe. And you know, it's interesting because that applies across the spectrum of human behavior. We are, as a species, we are hardwired to cling to the familiar. The term, of course, is called homeostasis, which means the same state. And so many people think, you know, whether it's relationships or anything else, I know our subject today is relationships, so that's a perfect place to hang this. They think there's something wrong with them. There must be something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm not this enough because I can't make these changes. I can't get out of these patterns. And the reason is because of the way the mind works. Once you get once you make the decision, which, as you said, I have to make the decision and take the responsibility for my life. That's the number one thing. But almost everybody, in order to make these changes so that they can attract what they want, so they can manifest, is going to need a little assistance. And of course, that's where people like you and I come in. Yeah. And once you get that assistance, it's amazing how quickly the changes can happen, but the mind needs help. And that's just because of the structure of the human mind. It's got nothing to do with, you know, being inferior or I'm not. And the other thing, of course, I see over and over again, clients will come in and they think they're the only ones with this problem, that it's them. Yeah. It's not.
No.
So it's important for our listeners to know that.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm so grateful for the universe putting my client that I had this morning in my world today, because it gives me some examples to kind of talk through. Beautiful lady that came and saw me about a month and a half ago as a psychic medium. I gave her a session and, you know, talked through the possibility of meeting a partner in a couple of months' time and blah, blah, blah. And then we talked through some processes and some actual steps and techniques that she needed to use in her everyday life to transform and change those patterns, to allow that partner to come in.
Yes.
She understood the process, no problem. Yep. She came back today about a month later going, exact same pattern. But she came back wanting, as a psychic medium, tell me when he's coming, was the question. And It's like, well, hang on, you're still in neediness. You're still attached to having to have that person. You're still in that I'm on my own pattern. So if you don't transform and change that, where's the space energetically or physically for a man or a partner, whatever it is, for those watching, to come in? Because they're going to feel your neediness.
Yes.
They're going to feel your insecurity. It's not going to last.
That's so true. You know, so many people are unaware of the fact that when we're communicating and interacting with another person, almost all of that communication, the vast majority of it, is happening at a subconscious, subliminal level. We're not even aware of it. It's just a very subtle, energetic exchange, but it is actually the most important part of the interaction. It's not the words. it is that vibrational energy, if you will, for lack of a better description. And so, yes, if you're still in the energy of neediness and inferior, then you're transmitting it. We're all like radio transmitters, and we're transmitting our energy wherever we go.
Yeah.
And so until that gets cleaned up, you're exactly right. It won't work, because the other person's going to say, oh, this is not a good vibe. You know, we hear that all the time. I don't like this vibe. And boom, they're going to disappear.
Yeah.
So it's so important to get that work done. And once you do, then Mr. or Ms. Right, depending on whatever it is you're looking for, or whomever, will be able to find you, and vice versa.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, it was really interesting, because I work here in Colombia with a translator, and he understands my work and is quite spiritual as well. And I ended up using him as an example to demonstrate for the lady client I was working with, because my Spanish isn't perfect yet. And so I was demonstrating for her what the level of anxiety was, and how the anxiety, neediness, and, you know, needing that partner looked to a man physically, by physically
excellent.
grabbing onto his arm, and I'm like, "Ugh," and he's trying to move away, and she was like, oh, okay, I get it. And sometimes it's giving that physical, visual reference point to go, here's the emotional or the vibrational, energetic way that you're coming across right now. How's that going to work for a partner or a relationship coming in? And she's like, oh, okay, right. So then it was the explanation about, right, we need to get you into some coaching and some more consistent to be able to work on your patterns and clearing them if you want to bring that partner in.
That's beautiful. What a great idea, that demonstration. Well done.
I'm very lucky that he participates.
That's really, really powerful. I love it.
Yeah. So, you know, and that's just for those watching today, that sometimes you do, like you said, you need a mentor, a coach, a guide to be able to show you what might be sitting in that unconscious that you're not present to, that you're not aware of, that can give you that one light bulb moment that transforms and shifts a pattern.
Precisely. And that is the key. I mean, and when someone has the courage to reach out and realize that, well, here's another way of saying this. Anybody, everybody, we all have the ability of creating whatever it is we wish to create, of creating whatever change we wish to create. But it's almost always going to require assistance.
Yeah.
And the metaphor that I love to use is an old cartoon, and I hope some of our listeners will remember the Roadrunner and the Coyote, which is our famous duo in cartoons.
I love them. It was my favorite as a kid.
Exactly. And, you know, about 2% of the people on the planet are what we would call roadrunners. And if you think about those cartoons, everybody out there, Roadrunner never gets stressed. He never worries. He can go from 0 to full speed in a second. He can change directions in a heartbeat. He's always got a smile on his face, and he always gets the birdseed. He's just lucky. And about 2% of the people on the planet have that ability of just going with the flow, and things never bother them. And if they want to make a change in their life, if they're feeling a little needy, they can just get rid of it. But 98% of us are Wile E. Coyotes.
Yeah.
And, you know, think about Wiley. He's smart. He knows what he wants. He works really hard. He's got a lot of willpower. And he tries and tries and tries, but he's always looking for some outside influence, some acme something to give him the extra edge. And what has to happen is he's got to find it inside. And when we laugh at those cartoons, I say this all the time to clients, or if I'm doing a seminar, I always bring them up. When we laugh at the Roadrunner and the Coyote cartoons, we never laugh at Roadrunner. We laugh at Wiley, because he's us.
Yeah. You're so right.
If he gets the right help, which has got to come so he can tap the inside, then he's off to the races. And so you're exactly right. It can just be that one thing that, and I just love so much when people, you know, realize finally, look, this isn't working. I've got to see somebody to get me squared away here. And that, of course, again, is the magic. Once you get the right help, then your mind is an amazing entity that can do anything you want it to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, John, if you were to give viewers 3 tips on how they can take some actions today to find their soulmate, what would your recommendations be? What would you suggest?
Well, the first and most important thing is to really do an honest evaluation of your situation. What are my core values? And I do this with clients all the time. Write them down. What do you have to have from your partner? And prioritize them. And that doesn't mean that the one on the bottom is not important, but there's going to be a priority. What are my core values? What do I really have to have? Integrity, honesty, and a really robust, intimate life, monogamy or not, whatever it is. Make the list and know what they are, and make sure you're very comfortable with them. And then take a look at your list and say, is there anything on this list that I'm not living up to?
Yeah.
Am I needy? Am I whatever? And then realize that, as we've just discussed, that in order to change that so that you can get into alignment with your core values, you're probably going to need some help. It's just the way your mind works. So don't. And then get the help. Once you do, and it doesn't have to take a long time. I've seen people in a matter of weeks completely transform their energy. And then they leave and they're feeling really, really good about who they are and the choices they're making, and they're not feeling needy. And then Mr. or Ms. Right walks into their world, because now you're putting out the energy that you need to manifest, to attract what it is you want. Yeah. So know your core values, make sure that you're living according to them, and that you're feeling really good about who and what you are, that you, as I say, truly love, honor, and respect yourself unconditionally. And then you'll find whomever it is you're supposed to find, and they will have done the work on themselves, and then there are no holes in the spirit or psyche that you have to fill, and it's effortless, and live happily ever after.
I love that, the happily ever after, that we often, particularly females, are often read those fairy tale stories as kids, aren't we? And there's that ideal of the happily ever after, and it's happily ever after within ourselves. So I really love how you finished that off with that comment, because it's happily ever after with yourself first and foremost.
With yourself, and then with your partner. And that doesn't mean perfectly ever after.
No.
Because there is no such thing as a perfect relationship. But when you are with your soulmate, you are friends, you are lovers, and you are spiritually connected. And when those 3 energies, as I like to call them, are working together, it's just an amazing thing. You still get to be who you are. You still have your individual interests, and you need self-time. Everybody does. But when you're together, it is just so powerful. And it's like living with the best lover you could ever live with, and your best friend, and then you're connected at a spiritual level that is so deep. It's hard to describe how powerful it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much, John, for joining me today for Barefoot TV. It has been such an honor, and it's great to get to know you from the US, where you're based. Can you share with what viewers where they can connect with you further if they want some more information?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But first, let me thank you for the invitation to join you. It's been a delight. I really, I've had such a great time. I'm easily reached. I have 2 websites, www.hypnotherapylosangeles, all one word spelled out, hypnotherapylosangeles.com. And that site is more geared toward my clinical practice. And then I have Dr. John McGrail, my name, drjohnmcgrail.com, which is a little bit more holistic, comprehensive, with the other work that I do with speaking engagements and media events and that sort of thing, the synthesis process. But either of those sites are loaded with ways to connect with me. You can email me, you can call me, my phone number's on there. I don't put my cell phone on there, so you can't text me right away, but you can email or call. I have clients like you do all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the miracle of technology. You're in South America and I'm in Los Angeles, California, and we are having a live discussion in real time. And I have clients as far away as Sydney, Australia, Malaysia, London, England, and all over North and South America. So don't feel that geography has to limit you. And if you have questions, I offer this to anybody out there. If you have questions, you will always get a confidential and personal response. I don't have my staff answer these questions. I do it myself.
Yeah.
So thank you for that opportunity. And I'd be delighted to discuss this or any of these issues around personal growth with anyone out there.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'd love to explore with you some more opportunities, whether it's for another topic. We could talk about a lot of different topics, whether it's on Barefoot
I
TV
would love that, Leanne.
or Barefoot Radio. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me today. And for those of you who are listening in for the first time, if you want to connect with me further, please jump on my website, thebarefootmedium.com.au. I do offer psychic and mediumship readings, but I also do coaching programs for people who are looking at improving, transforming, shifting, changing love, relationship, business, finances, whatever area of your life you're looking for transformation or change in. So please connect with me further through my website or on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of those social media outlets. And I hope that I connect with you again on the next episode of Barefoot TV. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're with, please make sure you are aligned with your joy, your authentic self, and of course, love.